Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and the week 2 of my Letterboxd diary. This week we have 5 movies to talk about and we almost at the 1/10 mark of my 100 movies challenge with reviewing 9 movies in total right now. Currently I'm watching stuff very randomly, most of these were the movies in my watch list, but I'm thinking about adding themes to the movies I watch in future videos time to time, just to spice things up. Anyway, without further ado, let's start with the first movie of the week. God, I wasn't expecting this movie to hit me in my feelings like that. Sometimes I seriously think we don't deserve dogs, or any kind of animal for the matter. Let's start with the animation technique. I don't know if this is a bold statement or just recency bias talking, but Isle of Dogs might have the best use of animation I've ever seen. Certainly became my favorite at least. The movie employs puppetry in such a creative way. They shot the puppets in front of a green screen and then filmed the background separately. This approach gave the animation a unique and captivating charm. The use of practical effects, especially for the things like smoke and dust, added so much character to the film. And let's not even get started on the art department's work. It speaks for itself through the sheer quality of the final product. The story, on the other hand, is packed with the quintessential Wes Anderson tropes, so we already know we are in for a treat. Despite its wit and comedic touches, the story is deeply tragic at its core. It shows a society that exiles dogs to a garbage island rather than dealing with the diseases they carry. Right from the start, we are introduced to a cruel and insensitive regime. Also, it seems like the rulers are worshipping cats or something, so that might be another reason. The dedication of a 12-year-old boy to find his taken away dog was truly touching to watch. The kid's basically a super genius anyways, building his own plane and all that, and the general interaction between the dogs were extremely entertaining. Witnessing the growth of some of the characters were well executed. Sure, around some parts you can kind of predict how it will happen, but that didn't take away from the experience. Although I would say the movie had some unpredictable parts on its own. Low-key, Wes Anderson is climbing the ranks of my favorite filmmakers, and I have a feeling he might just take the top spot someday. Alright, I have a little confession to make. I didn't know this was the prequel of The Omen. I guess because of that, the movie was a bit confusing to me. At some parts, I was thinking if I missed something or not while watching. After reading about some reviews, I discovered that they retconned/altered a specific element about the original movie. And as someone who didn't watch any Omen movies, I don't know if I did a good thing with starting with the prequel that came out 48 years later than the original movie. Damn! For some reason, that altered aspect I talked about affected my grading for the movie. At first, I was more keen to give it 3 stars, but after learning about the connections it had, I enjoyed it a bit more. So yeah, my thoughts about the movie. I think they created a well-shot world of 70s Rome. The general aesthetic of the world really immerses you into that time. Also, the general events that happening around the characters like riots is connected to the story at some aspects. They seem irrelevant at first, but the explanation of the connection makes it a bit okay-ish. But what carries the movie is definitely the lead actress Nell Tiger-Free. First of all, dope ass name, shout out to that. And second, I think she might be one of the most underrated young actors of our generation. At just 25 years old, I think she might be a big name in the near future. Her range was impressive to watch. She was given both innocency and creepiness in the needed moments. And near the end, her body acting, I'm assuming she was doing those parts and not a body double, was impressive and nerving to watch. Even though it's a prequel, the climax moment was super predictable, even for an unknowing audience like me. They are not necessarily trying to keep it a secret either, but how the climax was shown felt like it was meant to be a huge twist. Well, it is a huge twist, right, I give you that, but you can see it from a mile away. It was still entertaining and nerving at some aspects though. The tensity of the movie is decent enough and I'll definitely check out the other Omen movies. What happens if you take the start of John Wick and the end of Ratatouille? Well, you get Pig. While I enjoyed watching Pig, I'll admit it didn't leave a lasting mark on me. That said, I can still recognize and appreciate the profound impact it might have on others. The film has a quiet intensity and moments of deep resonance, even if they didn't fully stick with me. Because its non-existent effect on me, I'm finding myself struggling with forming my opinion. But still, I wanna say a couple of stuff that I really enjoyed about the movie. The movie maintains a mostly calm, introspective tone punctuated by occasional bursts of tension. However, even in its calmest moments, there's an underlying sense of unease and gravity that keeps you engaged. The movie's cinematography was a huge plus with me. The camera work with the needed scenes definitely elevated the atmosphere. But most importantly, Nick Cage shows us how great of an actor he is in this movie. Cage's performance is raw, restrained, and moving. He embodies his character with such authenticity, delivering emotions in a way that feels both intimate and universal. It's as if he was born to play this role. He even draws slight parallels between himself and his character. The film's exploration of themes like hate and violence isn't the only option, and kill 'em with kindness is beautifully woven into its narrative. It lets you see the both similarities and the differences with the movies like John Wick and Ratatouille, like I mentioned before, while carving out its own unique identity. Another absolute banger, no doubt about it. Honestly, at this point, they should just make a series out of these films on Netflix. I know they take forever to make, but it would be so much fun to tune in to Adventures of Wallace and Gromit every week. Since the first movie, I'm seeing a lot of enhancements on this one. The mixture of clay and other materials like cloth and water was a great touch. It's clear they embraced the modern technology while staying true to their roots. And the balance is just chef's kiss. Let's talk about the villain. Feathers McGraw. He's a massive step up from the last one. While the first film leaned into a universal monster vibe with the medievalish aspects to him, here we have a straight up criminal mastermind. Feathers doesn't speak like the other animals in this movie, but his deadpan, emotionless face is what makes him so effective. It adds layers of both comedy and menace, making him unforgettable. The movie's pacing is ideal and doesn't bore you at all. It stays mostly on a high pace. The voice acting is still amusing, even with the new actor voicing Wallace. They've done a fantastic job maintaining the character's charm and warmth. The movie also steals a trope from the first one in usage of a third character in the household. The first movie had Hutch, a rabbit with Wallace's characteristics.
Lovely cheese, Gromit.
And here we have Norbot, an AI helper gnome that Wallace invented.
Pleased to meet you, Master Gromit.
A smart gnome.
And even though I loved Hutch, I have to say Norbot was much entertaining to watch. It is indeed a great watch for the family. The Riti writing with some tense scenes really balances out each other, wrapping it all up in a heartwarming story about friendship. If you like the first one, I believe you will love this one. This movie left me with more notes than any other film I reviewed so far. But unfortunately, not all of them are positive. Don't get me wrong, there are stuff to admire here, and I'll get to that. However, some aspects just didn't sit well with me. First of all, the reaction that some of the characters give to certain things were quite bizarre. This is mostly about Gina Davis's character, Veronica. Her first reaction to her stockings getting teleported was oddly nonchalant. No one will react to something getting teleported like that. This is a concept that still isn't real in 2025, and the movie takes place in 1986. Like, hello? But Veronica doesn't stop there. Later on, when she accepts to investigate the research with Seth, she films a baboon being a test subject for the teleportation device. By the way, can we talk about how exotic the test subjects are? This dude Seth uses a baboon not only once, but twice. What happened to the guinea pigs or lab rats in 86? Or any other animal that you don't need to take away from a jungle? Anyway, the baboon gets inside out and dies a very gruesome death, and Veronica's reaction is priceless. Seth's too, by the way. They just get disappointed.
Cage. I read about a did you say want to it?
I guess this is the only proper way to describe it. Besides Veronica, the woman Seth met to take home at the bar is weirdly nonchalant as well. Seth breaks someone's wrist, and I'm talking about bone popping out of the skin type of break, in an arm wrestling match. And this woman acts like she sees this every week.
What the fuck?
Now, about the romance between Seth and Veronica. It feels rushed and poorly developed. One moment, Veronica seems uninterested, and the next, she's completely all over him. And I get it, Seth's charms does help that, but when you watch it, their start gives out an impression like someone is trying to cook, but the stove isn't on. But they managed to cook anyway. You know? Okay, now let's talk about what the movie gets right. Jeff Goldblum's acting is very fitting to the character. He perfectly gives a nerdish charisma to Seth, and later on the movie when shit hits the fan, he fantastically portrays that side of the character as well. The practical effects of the film were another highlight, especially considering the film's year. Some scenes were indeed disgusting and gory, but in a good way. It is safe to say, at least on the effects side, this movie aged great. I found the pacing well balanced, but can't stop myself wanting a bit more out of the movie. The runtime is on 96 minutes and I felt like the story could handle its duration longer than that. And without getting into details, the ending was both sad and satisfying. Besides all my negative criticism, I enjoyed the movie. It definitely does a lot of good things, but some bad things bother me a bit more. And we are done. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are already done 3 videos in 2 weeks and we're just getting started. As always, liking and subscribing is much appreciated. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.